Welcome, my beautiful humans, to the Pan Talk Podcast. I'm Joe Metzger, and this is the podcast for our pansexual, panromantic, and pangender lovies. I'll be having discussions with my co-host Anil and Joe, as well as interviewing my guests to learn more about their journey, and we'll talking about anything and everything in the queerverse. And if you don't identify as queer, don't worry, we want you here too. Please remember that this podcast is for those 18 and older, and some of the topics may be controversial. Trigger warnings will be in the description. Listener discretion is always advised. If you want to be a guest on Pan Talk, you can email us at pantalkpod@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's get queer. We're starting you off with a very special episode we recorded last year for Disneyland's first ever After Dark Pride Night. Enjoy. Welcome to the Pan Talk Podcast, where the pancakes are always gluten-free. I'm Joe Metzger, and this is my co-host Anil Rathanchandani.
Hello.
He's my boo.
Yes.
And we are going to talk about Disney After Dark Pride Night, the very first one. Not to be confused with Gay Days, which is a different thing, which we're not talking about today. But yes, Disney After Dark. So there's these events that Disneyland does, usually from about 8 p.m. to 1 a.m., and they're special ticket events that you have to buy a special ticket for. And this time, it was a Pride Night on June 2023, and we got to go to the very first one as a couple. It was pretty awesome.
It was fun. It started with buying the tickets, too.
Yeah.
Remember when I went online, because you're supposed to buy it online, and one time I got there was a line. Like, oh, you're 2 hours and 43 minutes away from getting your ticket. And I was like, wow, good thing I wasn't working that day. But I was updating him the whole time. I was like, okay, 40. But it cut really fast.
I'm at work. I'm like, what? What's happening?
The line cut really fast. I think when people saw, because it was like 7 a.m. here when I was online trying to get the tickets. But I think people saw that, the line was too long, so a lot of them dropped out at the last minute. So from 2 hours and 43 minutes, I just ended up like 20 minutes actually. So it's great. So don't let that discourage you for next time if you want to buy. I mean, just make sure your schedule. I mean, they announced it a good time before, so you can schedule like when you're going to get the tickets, because I understand it will be in high demand just because it was the first. But it wasn't that bad. So
for all the Disney events, After Dark, any Disney event, it's going to be a long line. And like, I remember if those of you remember Rise of Resistance, when it first opened, you had to do a reservation system. So you had to like make a reservation like within 30 seconds of when they brought it online, or it would be booked. Yeah. So it's the same thing with all of these events. You have to jump in early. But neither of us I don't think we'd even known about it, let alone plan to go.
Yeah.
And so it was just like an impulse buy, like, yes, we got to do this thing.
It's Facebook. I saw it on my algorithm. Traitors. I saw it. I was like, oh my God, Disney Ride. And I was like, ooh, we should go buy some tickets. And then he was like, yeah, of course. I think we bought it like April. We didn't even like really fully get it until the week of it. We were like, this week we're going to After Dark, and we're like, yes. And it was extra exciting for me just because it was my first time in Disney here in Anaheim. So my first time to go to Disney in Anaheim, and the first time is a Pride Night, and the first time is with my boyfriend, who by the way, we're celebrating our first year anniversary today that we're shooting this. So it was fun. And then so the ticket was fun. Then we were able to go park, and then we took the shuttle. So we were at the Toy Story parking area.
I never parked there before. And I don't know why the map took me to that parking lot. Usually I park in the parking structures and Mickey and all of those ones. And I think it probably was just as well because it was such a popular thing that we were out in the boonies and we had to take a bus or tram into the park. We weren't that far away, but we were meeting up with like a friend of ours, and like we ended up getting there 45 minutes later than we planned. But it was fine because, we had it still another good hour until the special tickets were the only people could come in with the lanyards and the little bracelets and everything.
Yeah. So like from that we took a shuttle. It was quick. Then we got in. We were given the lanyards he was talking about, in like a new band, which was different from everybody else who was already at the park. They didn't have those.
No.
So we got there, then we met up with our friend April, and then she was able to take us to a few rides when we got there because she has special pass. So if you have friends with special passes, definitely have them with you, because we were able to at least cut lines at the time where it was very important, because there were actual long lines because it was a regular day. I think, what was the first thing we did? That would have been my first thing in Anaheim.
Oh gosh, we I'm trying to think.
Was it the Star Wars tour?
Star Tours.
Yes, we did Star Tours. So that was my first ever ride at Disney in Anaheim. So we did the Star Tours, which was fabulous, by the way. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Star Tours, but if you haven't, it is a great, fun experience. You really do feel like you're in Star Wars. I have to give that to Disney. Of all the theme parks, Disney really does give you an immersive experience. So we did the Star Tours, and then we went to Toontown.
To do Mickey's Runaway Railway, I think it's called.
Which is new, I guess?
Brand new. I think it came out, it was the most recent ride at Disneyland, and I had been wanting to go on this for so long. It's basically, if any of you remember, what's one of my favorite films, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Yes. So you have Toons interacting with people as if they're both in the real world. And that's what this ride felt like. It's like you were inside of a cartoon.
Yeah. So Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Cool World. It did feel like that. Because I think my favorite part in that ride was the fact that Daisy Duck was giving like dance school instruction. Yes. It was the cutest because she was like in the middle of it and she was like, okay, we're gonna dance. And then so you ride this like cart thing. It's huge. It's almost like a carriage without a horse. So you ride that, and then, you know, Daisy Duck is dancing, and you're dancing with her in that thing. So I was just like having the time of my life because it was such a beautiful, immersive ride, to give it its credit. And it was really like modern,
beautiful and cute, and you know, it's kind of it's a new spin on a classic dark ride. So it's not a roller coaster. Yeah. It's not like a thrill kind of ride. It's just a fun, leisurely fun thing to do. Like
it has history, but not, you know, it's all of these things mixed together. It was fun. It was almost like you were at Universal Studios, getting like a tour of Disney. And then afterwards, that's when the Pride Night actually happened.
Yes.
Because everybody who did not have that lanyard and that special band, I wish we brought it, they were asked to leave. So if you weren't Pride Nighting, you got to go. So by the time like that happened, you actually see a significant decrease of people in that park, which makes for a really exciting time.
The capacity was there were people and it was busy, but the capacity was so low that the lines went so fast, and we were only there for 6-7 hours, and we did what to me is a full day is like 12 hours at Disney, 10 hours.
Better than a full day. Yeah.
And you had been telling me about an experience you had at some of the other Disney parks around like the crazy like capacity problems and getting on rides and lines and stuff like that.
Actually, with my experience, like in other Disney parks, it was actually not so bad. Like I keep telling everybody, the last time, you know, we went to Disney was in Hong Kong, and there were absolutely no lines, and I was with my family, so we had a great time. So I move here, everybody's like, you have to go to Anaheim, you have to go to the OG, because they're like, you can't have gone to Hong Kong or Disney World and not have gone to Disneyland in Anaheim. So I'm like, whatever, but I'm no offense to Disney, but every time there's always these horror stories of people who can't get on rides, who only get 2 rides because of all the lines, especially after COVID, having to adjust to their new system. We got there, and when we got there, I was like, we have to do Haunted Mansion first, because it's his favorite ride.
Yes, my favorite. Favorite.
So we had to do it first. But on the way to Haunted Mansion, we had, I don't know, 5-6 rides, because there were no lines. Don't you dare come flooding Pride Night next year.
It's all about us.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You guys could, because I wouldn't have minded the lines because of the people who were there. But anyway, that's a different story. But we were supposed to go to Haunted Mansion, and then we went to Star Wars.
Yes.
And we did that first because there was no line. We literally entered, and then the next thing we know, we were entering the ride. Who does that? Where does that happen when it comes to Star Wars?
Yeah, we had special access. My friend had an annual pass and was able to get special access. So literally from front where you go into Star Tours to the actual ride vehicle, like standing to go into the vehicle, was like 60 seconds.
It was so fast. I kid you not. So we were just making our way to Haunted Mansion, but on the way, we had to take other rides, like Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. What else did we do? Like
Indiana Jones.
Because there were no lines. I am not kidding. Like every ride had 5-minute wait. So in terms of rides, I think we had a great time. I just burped. I hope you don't smell that. It's a little garlicky.
You can't hide it. You're on camera and audio. Oh yeah, and you know what was great? Like I don't know, or for at least for me, Indiana Jones has a really great themed like what do you call it, staging area, like the line area has really great theming, and I got to show it to Anil and like, oh, and this is this thing and this is that thing, and like this, if you press here it does this thing, because you had time to do that stuff even though you were going through the line very quickly. But I don't think it was more than 10 or 15 minutes from the beginning to the end. In fact, we were moving so fast because those lines whip around, we actually both got a little dizzy,
and the people behind us too, they were like, I'm getting it,
because we're old men is what I'm trying to say.
You don't realize how long really the space for lines are. I was like trying to see, oh my god, so when Disney plans their rides, I bet they're like, okay, we need 10,000 square feet for the ride and 30,000 square feet for the line. It's like the lines areas are 3 times bigger than the actual ride.
Capacity is bonkers. I don't know how big the other parks are, other than I know Disney World in Orlando.
Yes, that was pretty
bigger.
And I was there as a child, so everything was even bigger than what it is as an adult.
And with Disneyland, because it is probably the smallest park, I would hazard to guess, lovers of Disney, not experts, I would say, because the park is so small, have been times in recent years, even before COVID, where you would go up, you bought your ticket, and they say, sorry, we're not letting one in, we're at capacity.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't get into the park.
And those are all the stories that I heard.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really inviting to go to Disneyland in Anaheim. I was like, it's okay. Because coming from Hong Kong, where there were no lines, and we were doing rides twice or thrice in the day, and seeing everything we needed to see, I sort of didn't want that to be ruined, but oh my god, I'm so happy that we did Pride Night. So with the rides, we had fun. We even did Haunted Mansion twice.
I love to do it twice. It's my favorite ride. And, I remember the dune buggies being smaller, but I guess they weren't as small as I remembered. So we were both able to fit comfortably in them. Yeah. We're bigger bodied boys.
And my biggest fear was that, because when we were at Knott's Berry Farm, I hope you can hear this, Knott's Berry Farm.
He took me there for my birthday last year, and he couldn't go on any of the roller coasters. I was so mad.
Because I was too big for them. And I was just small. Like, okay, I guess. But so I had that fear. I had that fear coming into Disney. I was like, oh, I might be too big for the rides. But not at all.
We fit on every single ride. Because
we did the Haunted Mansion twice, and then we ended the night with Space Mountain, which we also fit comfortably in such a, that was the longest night that we went to. 20 minutes. That was the longest line that we had to wait in. 20 minutes. Can you believe it? At Disneyland. But I think outside the ride, so it's not like we're doing a review of the rides. What I loved the most were the people. It had such a different energy.
Different vibe entirely.
Like, if you were going to go to Pride Night, this is exactly how you expect the people to be. Everywhere we went, people were smiling. We were smiling at each other. People were complimenting each other. I don't know how many times we were called cute, which we know.
And everybody tells us that. I'm pretty damn cute. What do you think, Boo?
Oh, yeah. You do. But yeah, so it was fun. Like, we were walking around, and everybody was just in good spirits. No offense to kids, but there weren't a lot of kids. I think that helped.
So whenever I've been to Disneyland before, right, I get hit with a stroller like 3 times an hour and 5 times an hour. If they let booze in, I could play a drinking game at this and be smashed in 2 hours. It's every 5 times an hour. I kid you not. We're gonna go home. We're gonna go home right now. Every parent in the and then the screaming kids, either from joy or just having a tantrum and all that kind of stuff. And listen, that's part of what kids are. We love kids.
We love kids.
It was the only time I went to Disneyland. And I think you saw a few, but
I saw a few, yeah.
Once 8 o'clock hit, when it started, I didn't see a single kid the rest of the night. And with the low capacity and just pretty much no kids, that was a much different experience. And everything was more orderly and calm. And
not that the kids were the reason it's not orderly.
No.
I think, and this is controversial, but I think it's because we're all LGBTQ+.
Yeah. Or like I like to say, libidinquois.
And ally. No, that was our running joke the whole night. I was like, see, you got to just take the cis hetero people out. And the world would be so much better. Because the happiest place on earth didn't have lines, had the nicest people.
Yes.
We didn't have to line up for food. Like, that's how the experience was. But don't get me wrong, it was a packed park.
And we got a special discount.
That's true. It was. Oh yeah, we did. We got a special shout out to that guy who gave us a large drink for but let us pay regular.
Yes.
But because he was from the Philippines and we started talking in our language, where I was like, "Are you from the Philippines?" And he's like, "Yes." And then I don't know. Somehow we just love each other all the time. So he goes, "Here's a large, but I'm charging you for a regular." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then he did the same thing for Joe. So we don't know if you like us. Because that was fun. But yeah, I think that was what added to the experience for me, is just the people. And then the special features, there was like the Riverside was this club with a DJ and like rainbow flags and stuff. And people were just dancing. That's one thing too. The music wasn't Disney. It was like Cher, Madonna, Kylie, the Spice Girls. It was like these LGBTQ themes. And everybody that you see, they would just dance.
Yeah, that reminded me of when we were going into the Haunted Mansion. Was it the second time, I think? And we heard like the bumpin' like DJ music right at the river. And I'm like, are we going to hear this music in the ride? Because, you know, one of the things about Disney as part of that immersive experience is all the areas have sound effects, and they have, you know, like different theming and plants, vegetation and everything to make you feel like you're in that world. And so the idea that we're going in the Haunted Mansion with that organ music, and then you hear going on the back. But once they shut the door, I couldn't hear it anymore. And they must have planned that out. I'm sure they've had other After Dark, you know, events with that. And I've never been to an After Dark event before. I've only done the regular ticket. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, everybody was just so nice, and it was like, I love your nails, I love your dress, and all of that kind of stuff.
People showed up and turned it out. They were dressed in like different things too. So you are, I guess, it feels more enjoyable for both of us because we were able to like connect with our local tribe in Anaheim. Because that's like, I mean, everybody probably there was a local, I mean, not everybody, but because we met a lot who traveled from different places. But, you know, just being in your tribe, in the happiest place in the world, was just a magical, I mean, pun intended, was really a magical moment. We even had like our special moment in the fireworks where we were kissing under the fireworks. Yes. We caught that on video, so we'll show you. But it was just, I guess, a very different experience. And I think if you're LGBTQI plus, according to one of our pageant candidates, and all the other letters.
Lebitiqua.
Yeah, it is something you should consider going to, just because I think it is an experience you probably will not easily forget. It's combining a lot of positive experiences into one night. So for me, it's like all the Disney nostalgia was there. You know, the last time I was with Disney was my mother was still alive. So, you know, and we were together. So that's why I was like, I don't want to go to Disney again.
Yeah.
But coming out to Pride Night and just making sure there was another positive experience where I wasn't, you know, sulking. So that was one. You had the nostalgia of Disney. Then I was with my, you know, my boyfriend. And then we were with our tribe. And then we were doing rides and eating Disney food. Like, it was just all these things.
Wasn't
I
right that Disney food's really good?
Yeah. Expensive though.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, everything was expensive. You know, but
I tried to warn him a lot about that, so I feel like we're pretty.
Because I'm really cheap. Because, you know, I'm Filipino and Indian. Like, do you think I'm gonna spend money?
And I'm just LA poor. So.
But we did. I didn't feel bad at all.
We just had dinner. I mean, we brought
everything
everything
was just fun. Again, like I said, like just imagine all those elements coming together. I was in my Ursula shirt, which was fabulous.
Yes!
My favorite Disney villain. So just being able to have all of those in one night for like 6 to 7 hours is ultimately overwhelming. But it's memorable. It's like one of those, like, it's a core memory, is what Inside Out would say.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, it is a core memory.
And for me, being pansexual, you know, like one of the things that you feel like you don't get away with as much at like regular Disney park time or other After Dark. I mean, again, I have never been to them, so I can't say for sure. A lot of people were more dressed in scantily ways or like sexy ways. So pansexual, I'm loving everyone there, and I'm just enjoying all the nice bodies to see. And when I say nice bodies, I mean all body types. I'm attracted to all body types.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, it was just, I don't know. I have no other words to say. I know we're just repeating over and over again, but it was really fun, and we've decided to make it an annual thing for us. So I hope we can bring cats next. I think we After Dark Pride and cats.
Bring your cat in a little carrier.
Yeah, because it was fun. But yeah, and then we ended the night. It was wonderful because when we went to Space Mountain, and then we were like, okay, we got to go after this because after a while you're also too old and your melon keeps running around in a ride, so you're just like, it's 1 a.m.
We're not used to staying up till 1 a.m.
So it was 12:45 or whatever, and then the park was only open until 1.
It might have been 12:30 at that
probably
point. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Leave it to to Le Bois our ability to make sure we escort ourselves out in time. So like at 12:30, you see the whole park slowly emptying. There are no like douchebags who are like, I'm gonna stay here until they throw me out. Nobody was like that. Everybody was
enjoy his straight voice.
Everybody was just walking out, and then whole Main Street was like in rainbow colors.
Yeah.
So you were like exiting this park that was all rainbow, and all the Disney characters were lip syncing, like Mickey, Pluto, Goofy, all of them were at the front lip syncing to "I Will Survive," which is I think one of the most recognizable gay anthems ever. So it was fun, but then by the time we got to the parking lot, there was one person who was like, "Happy Pride," and then everybody at the parking lot was like, "Happy Pride."
Like they were happy to say it, but they're also tired and want to go home. But it was just like, that's the love of the community.
Yes.
And to see these Disney characters dancing very sexily, which is, Disney's very like, they're family friendly. And it was a kind of an adult night in a way. To I Will Survive was just like the icing on the cake for me as we walked out. We felt safe and included. And I remember when I got back to work, I was talking to a coworker and they said, I was worried about you because of the protests. I'm like, I never saw one protest. Nobody. Because I said, listen, Disney security is crackerjack. They always have been. And, as long as you're not wearing any swear words on your shirt. I had to double check because I had an experience with that one time. And I was like, oh no, and like I had to cover it up with a button and that was fine. But this time, I wore a shirt that didn't have any swears on it because I love my spicy shirts.
Yeah.
I love to wear my spicy shirts.
Yeah.
Oh man. And I wanted to say, food and like trinkets are probably the most expensive thing. And you can bring food in if you didn't know. They will tell you need to go outside the park to eat it. I have eaten my food in the park for years and no one's ever bothered me about it. So you do what you need to do. You do you. But it's a great way to save money. But I always like to have dinner in the park if possible. This is good.
Oh, and we don't want to come out like Disney purists. It wasn't perfect. Some of the rides malfunctioned.
I would say, of all the times I've been to Disneyland, and I used to go every 2 years or every year or anything like that. And, I've never seen so many malfunctions in one ride. I remember we were in Indiana Jones and, the boulder's coming and Indy's like going to we think he's going to drop into the Jeep with you. And then everything just stopped and he's just hanging out up there like nothing's happening. It's just ruined like the suspense of that moment where it's like, what's happening?
Yeah. I didn't get it. I was like, Harrison Ford is hanging right in front of me.
And I'm like, boo, it's a glitch.
So I was like, so what's going on? So like, is it just, hello, I'm here?
And while we're on the subject of that, like I do like the ride, but it could use a little bit of updating. It could be a little bit more modern in terms of the effects and everything. But it's a really fun ride. And, of course, if you go on a ride long enough, you know exactly what's going to happen around every turn.
Yeah.
Whereas the newer rides, like Rise of Resistance was closed. They closed it early. We got there. If we had gotten there at 6 o'clock, maybe we would have gone on it, but maybe not. It would have been it's the most popular ride. The line still could have been too long, and it was still before everything shut down. So we're going again this year. So we're going to make sure he gets to see Rise of Resistance.
Yes. And then Haunted Mansion was good, but twice they didn't have the ghost in the last part. Where
they didn't have the ghost in the hitchhiking ghosts. And the first time the narration didn't play, and then there were ghosts. And
that's why I knew he was like a hardcore fan. Where he was like,
wait a minute,
the narration is wrong.
The ghosts aren't there.
And I'm like,
the hitchhiking
how
ghosts.
do you know?
I've been on it a million times.
But because I know all the words to Poor Unfortunate Souls, he literally goes, "This is my poor unfortunate soul."
I was saying the audio, the dialogue, in the hanging chamber, and then I also know a lot of the lyrics to Grim Grinning Ghosts. Come out to social life. So I could do that forever. But yeah, so the first time the narration didn't play about the hitchhiking ghost, and then there were no ghosts in the mirror, and I was like, oh, so there's the hitchhiking ghost is not working. that effect isn't working. Okay, we'll come back. Maybe they fixed it.
Yeah.
They'll come back. The narration's there. Oh, Hitchhiking Ghost. I'm like, great. And no Hitchhiking Ghost. So we didn't get to take a ghost home with us this time.
Yes.
But next time.
But next time we will, definitely. Yeah. So I think we're good.
That was a lovely night, and I can't wait to do it next year. And it just you have to go, and you don't have to be queer to go.
Yes, you don't have to.
You won't be as cool, but you can.
For once, you'll feel like you're not the cool one. But yeah, no, and we loved it, and hopefully next year we guys get to see you, and just we get to enjoy, share a few dance moves, and maybe do one ride together. Who knows? But yeah, we'd love to come back. So we're doing this again.
Yes.
And then we'd love for you guys to listen again next week to whatever we're gonna say.
What are we gonna talk about next week? We don't know yet. We're just gonna decide in the moment. So yeah, thank you so much for listening and watching our lovely podcast. And remember, you can go to YouTube. We have a YouTube account. We have an Instagram account. We have a TikTok account. So check us out there, Pan Talk Pod. And if you would like to be a guest on our podcast, we can talk to you over the internet or in person. You just go to you just email us at pantalkpod@gmail.com, and we'd love to have you on. We're looking for people who identify as pansexual, but we're also looking for people who identify in other parts of the community.
Even straight.
Are you heterosexual and you have
it.
a pansexual parent, partner, friend, like family member?
Or you just love us.
You just love us and you want to talk to us about some shit.
Yeah.
And come on, tell us how great we are for 20 minutes. That would be great. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. And we'll talk to you. Sorry, the sun is in my eye. We gotta go.
Yeah, the sun is bearing down on us. So we should probably go before we melt, like the Wicked Witch of the West. So
like a snow cone in Phoenix.
Movie reviews.
Missed
That's an
it,
idea.
right?
Maybe we'll review
like a snow
we'll
cone
review
in Phoenix.
90s movies for the queer factor.
Yes.
This is Doubtfire. Remember those days, you guys?
Doubtfire, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening, and have just a wonderful rest of your day, guys.
Have a pancake.
Have a pancake.
Gluten-free. Go for it. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Pan Talk Podcast. Don't forget to rate, like, comment, and subscribe wherever your ears absorb our content. And remember, if you're interested in being a Pan Talk guest, you can email us at pantalkpod@gmail.com. Until next time, beautiful humans, have a fantastic day.